Alright, beautiful people. So today we're talking about evaluating expressions with variables, or substitution. So our essential question is, how can I evaluate an expression with a variable? So the first thing I want to do is talk about what is an algebraic expression. And this is something that we talked about last quarter in our classes, but it's really important that we know what an algebraic expression is. Now, an algebraic expression is a math sentence, basically, that has variables, because algebra talks about using variables or unknown numbers. Okay, and then some examples of algebraic expressions. Example are things like 2 times x, or 15 plus y, or 27z minus q. Okay, you'll notice that each of these has numbers and variables. It's got operations in them. You can have multiple operations. You can have one operations. It doesn't matter as long as you've got numbers and variables. Okay, so then on that note of numbers and variables, I want to make sure that we all know what a variable is. Variable. Okay, so a variable is basically a placeholder for an unknown value. And variables usually come in the form of letters. Okay, so then for this example, my variables can be letters like A, B, C, so on and so forth, to X, Y, or Z. Okay, you can also use Roman letters. So for example, letters like theta, or I don't know, omega. Okay, it doesn't matter what you use. You can use any sort of variable. So when we were in elementary school, I'm going to make a little note. In elementary school, you used algebraic expressions, but instead of using variables, you used boxes. So in elementary school, we solved expressions like 2 times an unknown box. This is the same as 2 times x. The only difference is in elementary school, boxes made more sense than me putting a letter into a math sentence. Okay. And the reason why we put letters in there now is because sometimes you have different variables in the same expression. And if I put a box in a bunch of different places, it's not as clear as if I put a bunch of different letters in there. So that's why we use variables. Okay, and then last but not least, what is substitution? So substitution is basically replacing a variable with a value. And you will either be given a value or you'll be asked to find the value. But for substitution, we will be given a value and we'll be replacing a variable with it. All right, so then let's start with our first example. So my first example is I've got an expression. Let's just start with 2x, 2 times x. And I want to evaluate it when x equals 4. Okay, so when I substitute, what I do is I take this x equals 4 and I look at the original expression and I find any place where I've got the variable x. So here's the variable x right here. So instead of an x, or in the place of the x, I put a 4. So this becomes 2 times 4 instead of 2 times x. And 2 times 4 is 8. So this is my answer for 2 times x when x equals 4. Okay. So what we did is we substituted. Substitute x for 4. Okay. All right, let's try another one. 5y. Okay, now this time there's not a clear operation, so I'm going to talk about that in the next video.